No idea if it's working. What's a test? All right, let's jump into this shit. We got the difficulties, fixture ranking releases, and we're going to talk about them here. I got a couple things to say about this. First of all, it's June. So, fuck. Who knows? I was just mowing the lawn. Like, it's fucking hot outside. The last thing I'm thinking about is this. Bunch of you are playing that phony tournament thing, like Champions League version 7.0, where Bayern just beat a team of like bartenders and shit 10-0, I guess. So, you know, when that's over, maybe you'll care about this. I don't know. I just had some early thoughts, and the main reason I'm doing this is to test out a new laptop that I'm gonna buy versus a desktop that I'm putting together, which I promise won't have really clicky fucking keyboard when I'm actually using what I would have set up. But this thing's state of the art. It's my brother's shit. He put it together for me. So let's see how good it comes through on YouTube, because it'll allow Kris and I to pod on YouTube. So we'll see. I don't even know if you can hear me right now. But one thing you'll notice that we have done is we've gotten a little smoother with pre-work on what we're going to talk about. So as you can see, they've launched, you know, the fixtures and all that shit. So I thought I'd test out maybe talking about how I kind of look at fixtures typically when the season's starting and the game's out and we're tinkering with teams and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. It's a lot on this screen. I tried to ramp up the definition. I've got some fucking crazy NVIDIA 4070 Super TI GPU, so it should be able to like pump high definition image quality and sound quality. We'll see. Anyway, so lots of stuff going on here, and I'm just gonna go through a couple thoughts I had. First thought I had was, is there any way to do any premium hopping here and completely ignore this color legend on the top? Because I started with black and I started with blue, and then blue didn't work. So then I tried white, and then white didn't work. So I did orange, and that ended up sort of working. But I didn't change the word blue, and I didn't change the color white. I didn't add a dot at the top left. So you can see how many fucks have been given about setting this up. It's just test. But what I wanted to do is sort of go through this exercise that it's very likely that whatever team we start with is going to have two premiums amongst, you know, the first 19 weeks, the first 4 weeks, the first 1 week, the first 8 weeks, whenever you plan to use your wild card or whatever that is, and when you tinker along. But I always like to know, like, can we set up a team full of nailed, you know, individuals that are sort of like the core of your team, but then is there an opportunity to be hopping on and off of the two premium players, which quite frankly generate the most of the points in our team, especially because we're probably captaining them in any of these given weeks. And what I noticed is Man City, Holland, is pretty stable. Through everything I talk about here, it's pretty evident he's going to be pretty widely owned to start the season, especially when you kind of look at the second premium here, which is Mo. And you can kind of see as a bit of a tricky fixture schedule scenario going on, sort of like right away. So it just makes it a little trickier to own him or Florian Wirtz or whatever the hell you're thinking of doing with your Liverpool players. But for the purpose of this premium, the only other people I'm considering premium here are Saka, Palmer, and Isak. You know, I'm assuming he's still on Newcastle if you're listening to this. Not that Liverpool spent $1 billion on him yet, seeing as they're the new fucking don't give a shit, spend as much money as they want team. So anyway, as you can see, even in game week 5, where Man City have Arsenal away, where you might hop off Holland, it's like you got Burnley at home and then Everton at home right after that. So it's not even worth doing. Even Villa away, he's got Bournemouth at home right after that. Now, you might kind of look at Villa away, Newcastle, and Liverpool all together and say, okay, yeah, maybe. I could see that. But the problem is during that time, it's not like Isak has amazing fixtures. And I'm assuming you're going to want to go Haaland to Isak, spend a bit of that money differential. Although, I don't know, maybe Haaland will be cheaper this year, maybe Isak will be more expensive this year, and it won't even be that much money differential. But the problem is you'd have to go kind of positional. Like if you're going to go Haaland to Saka, you're going to need 2 fixtures to do that. You're going to need 2 fixtures to go back to Haaland. And he has Leeds at home and Sunderland at home in 13 and 15. Maybe you plan to wild card around that. I don't know. You wild card off of Haaland in game week 9, and then you have a plan to bring it back. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm trying to sort of look ahead here, and I don't think Haaland's going to be the person that we're hopping on and off of too much. I do think that premium midfielder spot is, though, because you could start with Mo, game week 1, Bournemouth at home, and then jump up to Palmer, West Ham, and then Fulham, and then back while Mo has Newcastle and Arsenal. Then you could go Mo, Burnley, and Everton, and Palace, and then shoot up to Saka, who has a nice run of fixtures from game week 7 to game week 13, which is the exact time where Mo has Chelsea away, City away, Forest, Villa, Brentford away, Man United, he owns, but I don't know. We'll see year 2 with them. My point is, it's not a great time to own Mo, I think, who... I made a comment on Haaland's price earlier. I think we all think Mo's going to be the Haaland price of last year this year. I mean, he just smashed the record. The guy just keeps getting the most points. Like, he should be the 14+ million player, right? So anyway, it might be trickier to own Mo this year with that possible likely price increase. So hopping off to a Saka might make sense when he has West Ham at home and Burnley and Sunderland and that kind of shit. We'll see which Saka is it going to be this year as well. So that's sort of where my mind was first thing. My other thoughts are sort of, I think there's sort of 3 different times that you're going to potentially wildcard, depending on what type of player you are. I think you're going to kind of leave it be wildcarding game week 8 or something like that, typically around an international break is why I say 8. Or you say, hey, you know what, I want to attack the first 4 game weeks and then wild card in the first international break right after game week 4, or you're like Kris last year and go, you know what, I just want to use my fucking bench boost game week 1, you can attack that week, and then you could bench wild card right out of that, and hopefully by then you sort of know who all these popular players are. Maybe it's game week 2 you bench boost instead of game week 1, I don't know, but you use the wild card almost immediately. So we're going to kind of look at that a little bit, and we're going to start by looking at the style that I typically play, which is wild card right after game week 4. You attack these first 4 weeks of fixtures with sort of players that you know are decent typically, and then that allows you to sort of peruse what's been going on with the breakout studs, the 4.5 million the 4.5 to 5.5 million breakout out of position midfielders, or that shitty forward that plays for Sunderland or something that's 5.5 million that's all of a sudden nailed and looks better than we all thought he was. And as you can see, Sunderland has good fixtures, so maybe we jump all over that. I don't fucking know. My point is, I've been playing this game long enough to know that we all think our team is fucking incredible game week 1 after watching preseason and tinkering away and copying all the other contributors or whatever you do. I don't know, I don't care, but my point is we sort of get this opinion by game week 1 just to realize in game week 3 it's fucking terrible. This guy sucks. This guy's not even playing. For some reason, preseason was just a mirage. Just a facade. And, you know, a mod for Man United isn't even playing for Ten Hag and shit like that. Or, you know, Luke Cadine actually isn't very good or something, if you remember that Everton season a few years ago. Or, you know, this guy's broken out and we need to get him, like, basically immediately. He just scored a brace and he's nailed and he's 4.5 million, right? So you start, all these things change immediately and, you know, the templates start forming and that sort of thing. So if you can erase all that from your memory and just attack, you could just wildcard right away. And then the other thing is, it's sort of like reframing the way you think about success with the early wildcard. And this is what I mean by that. If you plan to not wildcard early and have it in your back pocket to use later, or maybe there's fixtures changing in game week 8 or game week 12 or something you might want to take advantage of. The only reason you would use the wild card in game week 4 or 5 in that scenarios is your plan's gone to shit. It's not good. things aren't good in your team. They're bad, and you're trying to fix them. I don't like using my wild card because my shit's bad. It just feels like I failed in a way, right? Or nothing goes wrong, everything goes to plan, fine, use it in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. If I plan this way and I go, hey, I'm going to use my wildcard in game week 4 or 5 or however you want to view it, and I end up using it, and things maybe haven't gone right, this, that, the other, but this is my plan all along. I'm following my plan. Everything's going to plan. I attacked the best fixtures. Things out of my control happened. I can sleep at night. I understand that things out of my control are not worth losing sleep over. Boom. Following the plan. Game week 4. Here we go. Or things are going splendidly, better than I could have imagined, and I don't use my planned game week 4 wildcard because I happen to just fucking have all these breakup players by fluky chance in my game week 1 team that I happen to pick. And I got the Sunderland forward guy already because, hey, look, I already attacked those fixtures and he was my third forward or some shit. Or, obviously, if you're going with an earlier wildcard, you might want to attack like Liam Delap, who we know is playing game week 1. But what about Vincent Jackson or Nicholas Jackson, where the fuck his name is? I always call him that for some reason, the NFL guy. But, Delap, hey, guess what? Jackson sucks. Delap's good. Hey, I already got him. Great. I don't need to wild card him in like everyone else might have to, right? So things are going to plan, and I get to save my wild card for later. It's like I got it wrong, but it's a good thing. See how that's completely opposite to the first plan where you plan for later, but shit, if your plan doesn't go well, it's because things are bad. Do you know what I mean? Your two outcomes are either things are whatever. My plan was to wildcard game week 4 anyway, following the plan, or hey, things are better than anticipated. Good news. Versus things have to go to plan for me to not wildcard, or the other outcome is things are bad, I have to use this wildcard and I didn't plan it that way, this sucks. So my way just doesn't suck. Third option, attack the bench boost, okay? Which we're going to talk about in a second. But I just wanted to sort of mention a few things on captaincy here as well. If you're going to focus on the first 4 weeks, I think you should focus on who we're going to captain here. It's going to be way more important than the other weeks. And something that stood out to me is, again, like I said earlier, every single way I look at this, no matter what sort of, if you want to bench boost game week 1 or game week 2, if you want to do the 4-week thing, you want to do the 8-week thing. It's fucking Holland's gonna be in your team is sort of what I've determined. I mean, the fucking Scout put out an article like the day they launched these difficulty ratings saying like we're all gonna have Holland. So like this one I think is just obvious. I think he's gonna be cheaper this year, which I don't think is a good thing because I mean there's a world where early last year when he was going bananas is the more true outcome of who he is. And if he comes in cheaper, he's just going to be perma-owned all year. It's going to be boring. I kind of liked that he was expensive because you could kind of get away without having him, even though if he was raping you those first few weeks. So I hope he doesn't come down in price. But either way, I think he's going to be owned in this scenario for the first few weeks because those home captaincies in first Tottenham home, Man United home, and then even the away Wolves, like with the team that they're potential, like it's gonna be a new team, right? They've lost Cunha, etc. So anyway, my point is, Holland is gonna be a heavy captain favorite too. I mean, none of the weeks is he a bad captain option in the first 4 weeks. They're slightly better with Mo in game week 1 and game week 4, or maybe Isak versus Leeds in game week 3. And what I've also done is I've tried to put a third sort of puntier type captain for each week too. So Bowen game week 1, Sunderland, Saka and Palmer, considered premium. I'd say they're less punty. Cunha home, Burnley. I think he's going to be their main guy. I don't think he'll take penalties for Bruno. I don't think anybody would think that, but I still think he's going to be sort of like their main attacking return output in that team based on what I saw last year. And I think he'll be a bit more forward. Bruno will be feeding him, so we'll see. Or Isak again in game week 4, right? When he's got Leeds and then Wolves back to back. He'll become somebody that I think we're all going to want to target. So, speaking of that, I made a comment if you look at Newcastle. These are just some of my generic thoughts on the first 4 game weeks. Newcastle, Isak by game week 3, or start with them from the start. You got to weigh that up. Arsenal, I think even though those fixtures are mixed, I still think they have one of the most sound midfields with Declan Rice in there and Partey and whoever else they get, and defenses in the league. Clean sheets are hard to come by. I think a double D just for some more like clarity and security versus punting on 4.5 million guys all over the place for the first 4 weeks would make more sense. Just have that like security. Man City, where I think we're gonna, outside of Holland, have a real interesting debate the entire preseason is Rayan out Aït-Nouri worth it over Vardiol? Vardiol was elite last year. There's no way in my mind he's going to start under 6.5. Kris and I just potted and said he's probably one of the only names that will for sure be on our team. And then I think like the next day they announced the rumor about Aït-Nouri and then eventually signed him. And that sort of changes everything because of two things. One, Aït-Nouri is going to play left wing back or left back or however you want to view it, depending. It's probably going to be left back. Vardiol's best games were at left back. When he's playing center back, he often got like 2 or 3 beeps when they kept it clean. So he's still valuable. But for 6'5", I want him playing left back. So it does change things a lot. Also, I don't think Rayan Aït-Nouri is going to be 6'5". I think he's going to be 5'5" or 6 if Vardiol's 6'5". So he's going to be cheaper. And nailedness is obviously important on a team where nobody's nailed. But one thing that I think we could kind of look at over the years and dive into this a bit more is just, it seems to me whoever the newest defender Pep signs is sort of like nailed for a year. Like the year that they got Ruben Dias, guy was nailed all year. The year they got Laporte, guy was nailed all year. I think Akanji was like that. And then it's like next year, fuck, does this guy even play here anymore? Like, which makes me also slightly worried about Vardiol. So, he's lost the left back, and he's not the new puppy in the family anymore, right? Get to the back of the fucking room. You eat last. So, I think Aït-Nouri, he's not like some hot take punt here, man. Like, he's going to probably score a goal in preseason or something. Everyone's going to have him in their team, especially if he's $1 million cheaper. I think he's got to be, $500,000 cheaper sort of thing for it to actually be a debate. But we'll see. And then the other thing is just who's this? Is there going to be another nailed attacker in the room, right? I mean, Marmoush was sort of that at the end of the year. Is Foden going to be cheaper and back to more of his old self than his new shitty fucking self? I mean, are any of these new guys they sign going to be attackers or not? I mean, they all seem like unreal signings for great prices. And then when I clicked on them all, they all had like 3 goals, 6 assists or 8 goals and 9 assists and played at like 40 games. So I don't know if any of them are like crazy attacking threats. Like I don't know how to pronounce any of their names yet. So I'm just going to pretend the one guy's name's Reindeer. I mean, he's supposed to be like a number 10, and he had like fucking barely any attacking returns. So like, am I just hoping he assists Haaland? Anyway, what are their prices going to be? Are they going to be 8 million, 6 million? It's pretty wildly different, right? Like, am I punting on that over Odegaard or Bruno? No, I probably wouldn't. Like, I would want to watch and see and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, realistically, well, this is way too early to be talking about this, but those are just the kinds of things I'm going to be looking at. Sunderland, great fixtures. All I'm kind of looking at is who's cheap as fucking nailed and can be, like, the last guy on my bench if I'm not bench boosting early, which I don't think I will be, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then Everton. Those fixtures are decent defensively, man. Like Leeds and Wolves, and then Brighton and Villa at home. They play well at home. My thoughts are, with Pickford, we've got something fucky in our brains with keepers where we don't want to spend $5 million on a guy like Pickford because it's Everton or something, but the guy's number 1 in points every year. And yeah, he gets this stupid fucking pen save or whatever that kind of bumps him up above everyone else, but like other people have some pen saves in there too. Gets a shitload of saves, and they do put in a good performance every once in a while, though it tends to be when their backs are on the wall or near the end of the season. I think that we could look into that a little more, but they've got decent fixtures to start. But we've got this sick thing in our mind where it's like, just give me the cheapest $4.5 million guy, or I'll pay $5.5 for Rhea. which didn't even get as many points as Pickford, and he's more expensive. But like 5 million for Pickford, absolutely not. So to me, it's probably going to be, I don't know. Anyway, you got to know what I guess it's more like, are the defenders in that team going to be 4-5 again? They've got to be, right? Like, you can't have Tarkowski and Branthwaite at 5 again. Like, that's just stupid. Like, that was dumb. Price them out. I mean, if you remember a year ago, before they were 5 last year, they were like 4-3. You know how they kind of start at 4-5 and then they get sold a bit here and there, and they just sort of price drop throughout the year to 4-4, and then all like, I think Tarkowski dropped to 4-3 or something. Like, we didn't even fucking own him that year, like barely at all. If you owned him, you didn't even want to play him. And the next year, he ended up being up here in points because they did end up getting clean sheets here and there, where you never had him in your team. But then now he's 5 million, and I'm seeing like Branthwaite in like preseason tinkers, and I'm like, at 5 million, why would anyone want any of these guys? So it's just a weird conundrum. I think they got to go back down to 4-5, and it'll be Pickford at 5 versus, you know, cheaper D. But I think one of the Everton D is going to be in, you know, this first 4-week focus. Newcastle, I mentioned. West Ham. Okay, I don't think this is, again, not a hot take. I think this is going to be something a lot of people think. I think Bowen, if he doesn't get a substantial price increase, which he could, we just got to consider as a set and forget. Like, the guy just stays in your team and you don't touch him, and it's like 190 points or something like that the fucking guy got again. And he's like 7 something when I bought him. I think he went up to closer to 8, but like, that 109 points should be like 9 million. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it. So if he's 7s or even 8, it's debatable. But what ends up happening, and it's kind of the same here, is their fixture run never looks great. Like last season, they never had like a long green period. I remember every time I looked at West Ham, it's like, they kind of got a tricky fixture every like 3rd week. So it's like, you don't want to go buy that and then like not feel like, oh, I want to buy a guy that has like 7 awesome fixtures in the next 8 if I'm actually making the effort to make a transfer. So I think there's something to that, but with Bowen, maybe we need to ignore that and just he's in your team. Chelsea, outside of Palmer, you know, let's see what his form's like, I guess, in preseason. I think the lap game week 1 is going to be a huge topic of debate right up till the last second tinkers when we're doing our teams here, because he's obviously going to be nailed game week 1, and then after that, you're going to have the guys like Larry who fucking loves Jackson, and the guys like me who thinks he's just shitty and like overrated completely, and he had like a couple good games and he takes stupid fucking fouls, missed chances, and now he has competition. I don't like him at all. I don't think people are going to buy Jackson. I think the debate's going to be, do I have Delap or not? Because those fixtures are decent, and they're decent for a while. And if he can be the guy, you know. And then the other thing is just Vissa versus Chris Wood. Because they both kind of have decent fixtures, and is Worcester going to be on penalties? Is he even going to be there? That sort of thing. Next, I just wanted to discuss Bench Boost game week 1 versus Bench Boost game week 2. Okay, so key thing to keep in mind here is when you Bench Boost, it's your shitty players on your bench getting points, not your Mo's and shit. So ignore that. Except for the fact that if you're going to bench boost game week 1 or 2, you might, and then wildcard right after, you might make your bench or your actual players a little shittier to put better players on your bench. Like maybe you go so broad, you only have 1 premium that you captain. You game week 1, you're definitely going to have fucking Mo and Holland, as you're going to see. But maybe in game week 2, when Mo doesn't have a good fixture or something, you just go Holland. And you've got like a Bowen and an Odegaard and a Bruno and a someone else like that. So like the someone else like that, and like all 3 forwards are like that, except for Holland. And so you do have Cunha on your bench or something. So you could manipulate a little bit that way in that scenario. Otherwise, your 8th attacker is like Minta from Brighton or Brennan Johnson from Tottenham or something. So that's what I'm putting. Like, who would be those types of players in game week 1 based on the fixtures? That would be your 8th attacker down at the bottom there. Who's going to be your 4th defender, 5th defender? Because that's what your bench boost is these days. These guys don't keep clean sheets. Fucking luck, even versus good fixtures, it's lucky when they get clean sheets these days. So you're really just going to hope for the best. You're going to get 8 players with 2 appearance points each, and you're going to hope that your keeper and your 2D all get a clean sheet, and reality is it's more likely none of them get a clean sheet in this new world where clean sheets are hard to come by. And you got to hope that your attacker scores. And someone like Kris had a really good bench boost last week because Morgan Gibbs-White got him like a 10-pointer or something, so he was in the 20s instead of the low teens or 11 or 12 or something like that, and it was a good bench boost. You know how fucking rare it is Morgan Gibbs-White scored a goal last year? I love Kris, and I'm happy it worked out for him, but it's not highly likely it's gonna fucking work out, man. The other thing is, okay, here's some other thoughts, okay? One of the other things is that you bench boost early because you don't want to fuck around with your second wild card and leave all this money on your bench while you're doing your second wild card because you got to bench boost at like game week 34 or something, and it's almost the end of the season or whatever. Fine, but I've noticed the last few years there's been quite a few good 5 million, 5.5 million mids that are like, you know, Morgan Rogers and shit like that we're actually playing with all year anyway. So I don't actually think you're going to have as much money on the bench as you think. It's really just a second keeper because your 4th and your 5th D are going to be where your bench boosts are anyway. And I mean, even if you went expensive with them, you're talking like Munoz for like 5 kind of expensive, maybe a 5.5. I mean, you'd probably be rotating anyway. It wouldn't be a big deal. If they'd be like your first sub or something. I don't know. Or it's really your second keeper who's going to be like 4.5 instead of a cheapy 3.94 by then. You're going to have like 4 more million in your team value than now. I just don't think that argument is a big deal anymore. What stands out more to me is clean sheets are less likely to happen. You're less likely to be getting clean sheet points on your bench boost, yet 3/4 of your bench boost relies on clean sheets, which is 2D and a backup keeper. So I think that's not discussed enough, where your ceiling is something like what Kris got, 20-something points, where in a double game week, obviously your ceiling is going to be whatever the ceiling is there, but your floor is way fucking higher, man. I mean, you're in theory getting 8 players that all make 2 starts each, so that's 16 points just in appearance points, right? Versus max floor of 4 games total on a game week 1 or game week 2 bench boost, so 8 appearance points. So I just people love to talk about it. It's crazy. People love to talk about the early bench boost, and I talked about it last year and I thought about it for a sec, but the way last season went, man, like basically everything went right for Kris and everything went wrong for me. I still think I got like 14 points or something. Maybe 13 points on my bench boost, and it was a horrible bench boost. And Kris got like 20 something. So we got like 8 to 10 or something more points than me, and his went fucking perfectly spectacularly, which is like, if you're going to do a game week 1, game week 2 bench boost for the next 10 straight seasons of FPL, it's not going to work out perfectly fucking spectacularly every year, is it? Maybe like in like a standardized sample size, it's going to be like 3 amazing years, 3 horrible years, and 4 like whatever years, right? So for the amazing year he's had, he might get an 8-pointer or a 6-pointer next year and be like, fuck, that was never doing it again. Like, I bet you he does do it again because it worked out last year, as tends to happen with human nature. For me, I had a horrible year, and I still feel like 13, like, whatever. Right? That's sort of like, in my mind, the worst I'll ever do on a double game week bench boost. Best I've ever done is probably in the 30s or something. So, anyway, if you go ahead with it, I just sort of put together who I think you'll actually use, and then this is what my thought is based on game week 1 fixtures. I mean, it's way too early, but we know what fixtures are, dude. Like, you're going to have a Liverpool D. You're going to have a City D. You can tell you right now, that stuff's very fucking factual, especially if you're wildcarding right out of it. You're not going to not have, like Van Dijk or Kirkez or someone Bournemouth home. They're obviously going to play Kirkez Bournemouth home game week 1 too. Like City Wolves, you can have a D. Arsenal Man United, I think you'd end up having a D because, you know, everyone else is going to have at least 1 Arsenal D, probably 2 not on bench boost. You'd be like, why would I take that on if I could fuck my whole week over just on getting that wrong, right? So you end up with your main team making it look a little bit the same. And then obviously I think you're gonna have Holland, and I think you're gonna have Mo, and I think you're definitely gonna have Bowen versus Sunderland, just like a lot of other people. So, you know, maybe one of the benefits is just you are attacking this 1 week more in your main lineup than anyone else too. Like, you know, other people might not have Bowen, but you will definitely have Bowen if you bench boost game week 1, but probably not if you bench boost game week 2, because he's got Chelsea at home. So, you know, bench boost game week 2 is quite a bit different. I think your Defender 4 and Defender 5 are a lot more friendly. Like, I think you would definitely have a Bournemouth and a Palace D in this scenario. Like Munoz and whoever the fuck Bournemouth have on D this year, with Wolves at home and Forest at home. I think you probably would definitely have the Burnley keeper in net. Think about it this way. I don't know if they broke records last year in the championship. They barely conceded goals last year in the championship, man. Go look at their stats. It's incredible. They play home to Sunderland, who was in the championship last year. Is a perfect time to have a Burnley. Like, that's actually an advantage of game week 2 bench boost. Plus, you've got Pickford has a home match as well. Plus, you could have like Rhea in there as well. Like, I've actually gone, you'll see here, triple Arsenal D on this particular game week 2 bench boost. You're going to wildcard right out of it. I think from a quick, simple little look here, game week 2 bench boost looks a lot sexier to me than a game week 1 bench boost, but I'm not doing it. So you do whatever the fuck you want. I just thought I'd touch on it. Talk to you later. Hopefully that pod went well.